Hello and welcome to this month's My Cyber Why. This is the show where we talk to people from around the world about the work they're doing in cybersecurity to keep us all safe. Today, we're very excited to welcome to the show Deepayan Chanda, who is currently working at the National Australia Bank as a cybersecurity architect and defense expert. So welcome, Deepayan.
Thank you, Diana, and very good morning.
Yeah.
I'm happy to join this show. It's been in our plans for a while, but yeah, because of various reasons we couldn't make it. I'm glad that we are doing it now.
Better late than never, right? So,
Yeah.
And you've been making some big moves, so that is definitely from Singapore to Australia. So that definitely
Yeah,
you had to work
that was
around.
certainly
Pretty
that was
major.
certainly an exciting move, yeah,
Yeah.
because right in mid of pandemic, it was a difficult choice, no doubt, and was an exciting move. There were a lot of new things that we came to know during the move and such. Still settling in. I'm sure it's going to be fun.
Yes, Australia is such a beautiful country. So,
Yeah.
Deepayan, who are you? Who are you as a person?
So let me start by saying this, that I'm a veteran and I served Indian Air Force for about 11 years. And that's kind of built my foundation with a never give up attitude. And I think to some extent that's what made me as the person who I am today. And apart from that, I'm constantly learning. I love to keep myself in the learning path all the time, evolve myself as as things come up, because things change, right? So if we are not evolving, then it's quite hard to keep up. I also believe that as we move up the ladder, it's something which I believe as a person, that as we move up the ladder, we also should have another hand down to the other person to pull that person also up. So that's something which also I follow as a person. Uh, and there is one more thing which is, I think, common to both of us. Like, I like to be in the nature. I'm sure you do too. And that's something which keeps me on the go. I love traveling, which is kind of difficult today. But I still made a big move as part of my move to Australia, and that was the only travel I could make in last 1.5 years or so. So yeah, and as part of all my travels, it was a great deal of learning the new culture, learning the new country, being to places. I at least got the opportunity to go across the world in last 15 years or so. It's been fun. And uh, there's one more thing that I personally follow, that if there is a problem, then there is always a solution. So I love to solve the problems, and I always look for help if I'm not able to solve the problem, because it's better to solve the problem that way, so that it just doesn't stay there. It's better to take that small help and solve it. So yeah, that's something which I am. And just to touch base on that, I have spent a good part of my life back in India, being an Indian. And then I made a move to Singapore, had a very nice time, exciting time in Singapore, a lot of learnings over there also. And recently we made a decision to make Australia as our home. So yeah, here we are.
Yeah, you're seeing the world. And I think when I met you the first time, it was in Las Vegas. Is that right? So yeah, you've definitely been many
I
places.
think I think back in 2017, that's when we met in Vegas, and then again in 2018. So, and you also came to Singapore in 2019. So we had a good time there.
That's right. Yeah. And speaking of nature, I remember, you took me and some other of our work colleagues out to a restaurant that was on the beach. Basically, it was at a park and on the water. It was gorgeous.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you do? And you talked about problem solving and collaboration, which are two of the most important things, right, in our
Yeah.
career. What is it that you do? You're an enterprise architect focusing on cyber defense for a large national bank. What does that mean?
Yeah, this is going to be interesting one. Okay, so I think all that I do in cybersecurity today can be easily linked back to what I used to do in armed forces, or maybe I can draw experiences out of armed forces and kind of relate to it, because most of the concepts that is there in cybersecurity um, probably came from there. All more like the cyber kill chain is really the kill chain and kind of stuff, right? There are various other stuff. Um, so for me, that transition was kind of seamless from armed forces to cybersecurity, because not much changed concept-wise or even the discipline-wise. Cybersecurity is pretty disciplined, domain in that sense. So as cybersecurity is a vast domain, so to speak, and I primarily work in the security operations, threat intelligence, incident response, and red teaming side of things, dealing with architecture and strategy. That's something which I have been doing for a while now. Uh, I'm kind of laser focused towards defining short to long term security strategies, and the roadmap that kind of aligns with the business need and the outcome that the business would expect, right? Uh, Security landscape is always changing, so it's good to have a short to maybe short to medium term strategy rather than short to long term strategy, because threat landscape changes always, and our strategies have to adopt, or over time, and it needs to kind of inculcate that change as it happens, right? So that's something which is always in my focus. The other thing is like I strongly believe that any security solution that goes into production without proper design or any sort of architecture is never a complete implementation, because of a very simple reason that uh, it will go with some known or unknown issues into the production, and uh, we will be back to drawing board, or it will start failing after a while. So maybe the integrations with future solutions will not work properly. So it's key that we design solutions with proper architecture, and it should align with the, again, going back to the business outcome. So more importantly, I think where we can focus is like uh, the design or the architecture should be extensible, and it should account for or coexist with any future changes. So I think that's where most of my time is spent today for the enterprise, right? Where I'm trying to uh, help them build the proper architecture, which is resilient and which is also adaptable, uh, sort of future proof. In security, nothing's future proof, basically, right? But at least we should make it in such a way that if things change, we are able to adopt it, or at least we are able to hold it till we make the underlying changes. So that's something, it's a constant challenge, right? It's never foolproof. Like, it's not I built once and then I don't have to look at it ever. It's not going to happen. So it's a constant challenge, and I think that's where most of my time is spent.
Yeah, yeah, it's true, right? We can't stagnate. Our architectures have to
Yeah,
be alive, but it's true that
yeah,
you can really make plans that make it easy. Just like with the house, if
yeah,
If you can move pipes around after it's built, that's much more flexible than if all the pipes are, in concrete.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. Spot on.
yeah.
I like that idea because uh, I really can't change the wall. Maybe I can do some interior changes, but once the shell is built, it's built, right? I can't make any changes. And that's why I think a proper strategy that aligns with the outcome, which is desired by the business, should lead to a fit for purpose architecture and design, so that we can really build resilient cyber defense systems. And by resilient, I mean, like, it's something like, if I have fever, how quickly I can
Mhm.
step back and go about my work. So that's how quickly I can recover. So recovery
Yeah.
is key. So that's why resilient cyber defense system, and also it has to be redundant. If one system fails, another should pick up.
Yeah.
Um, I think that's kind of a constant challenge, that if something fails, what happens next? And most of the uh, places, I think I won't be surprised if I see just that there is only one particular system doing something and there is no backup for it. So that should be the focus, that we build systems which are resilient, redundant, and at the same time, it has to be accurate. It has to do that job over and over again. Same output. If something is built to detect a threat, it should always detect a threat whenever there is a threat. Uh, it cannot fail. So yeah, accuracy is also key. The other part is like uh, you know the uh, the reliability of the system. That if the system is running, it should always run. It should not fail. So there goes the four key areas that I try to focus, like accuracy, resiliency, reliability, and redundancy. So these are the four key areas where I think most of the uh, architectural or design focus should be.
So when the
Whenever we are
person goes to get their paycheck at the end of the week, it's your architecture that makes sure that money is going to be available because it's accurate and reliable, right?
okay, so uh,
Or the architecture
that
of the bank. That's the role of, I don't mean to
yeah
say, yeah, the role of
yeah
an
yeah.
architect. Yeah. So why do you focus on this area in cybersecurity, and why actually are you in cybersecurity at all? What's your cyber why? What's your real passion that drives you?
Okay, so let me answer this question a little bit differently, and
Okay.
let me take you back where it all started, right? Maybe 25 years back, 25-ish years back. Um, I used to be, you know, as usual, standard programmer. And back in the day, when I started playing around with systems programming and such, um, I was too fascinated with something like how we can break these systems, right? Either the network or somebody's computer. It was fun. It started really as a fun between a couple of our friends, and slowly I realized that this is more serious than ever, because this is really breaking the security. And um that's when I started kind of reading a bit more and trying to understand it, uh, what security is, because truly that was my first understanding of computer security. That, and finding some resources was also hard. 25 years
Mhm.
back, internet was not like what it is today, right? I just
Yeah.
go Google stuff. uh, so it was a bit of a struggle to understand. So I had to go through some of the trainings and stuff like that, which kind of was really interesting. And that's how I started, probably in cybersecurity. And before I knew, it was my day job. Started doing, kind of penetration testing and bit of consulting here and there. And that's how I, when I left armed forces and landed on my first job, I was literally doing penetration testing and, consulting on security products and such. So that's how I started. So I kind of enjoyed doing it because this was first solving some problem, like going
Mhm.
back to my uh, previous question, right, that we discussed, like if there is a problem, it has to be solved. And whether I solve it or we collectively solve it, um, that was always kind of in my back of my mind. And one after another, I kept, doing different jobs, different roles. Uh, More I got into it, I think more it became like a passion rather than a job.
Ah,
So yeah, and uh, I I kind of slowly got into the operational security side of things, like moving ahead from, say, as a penetration tester or as a consultant, slowly moved or maybe graduated towards operational security side of things, which was really more interesting, more intriguing. And one thing I realized right there, because penetration testing is oftentimes is a one-man army show or maybe two
mhm.
people doing it, right? Um, when we got into the operational side of thing, and that's when I kind of again realized and learned that security is not one single person's job. It is everybody's job because it's collective. It's not something which probably I can do alone or somebody else can do it alone. It has to be a collective effort, collective brains, not that every single person will have all these skills. It's a collective skill again. So in many different ways, it's more collective than individual centric. So and, and that kind of interests, right? Because uh, we all are trying to solve one single goal or one single problem. We all are moving towards one single goal: keep things secured, um, work with like-minded people, and just go fix things, detect some maybe interesting cases. So yeah, so that keeps me going, and that's practically why I'm in cybersecurity. It's really uh, every day there is something new and we see something going around. Sometimes it's our past experiences which we use to solve it. Sometimes there is just nothing, right? We just go brainstorm, talk to various people. You yourself know, right, how many times I have asked you, uh, there is a new topic, or we have discussed so many topics in past, right? um, that's something which keep me also connected with multiple people, go talk to them, understand what they are doing, and always learning. That that's what I think that's all I can summarize with, that it's a thing that uh, that is more of a passion now than a job.
Yeah, that's really interesting that you started more as a job and went on to the, but I completely agree with you. A big part of what's so great about being in cybersecurity is that we are a community. We do
Yeah,
work together and we're much stronger together. And most people who are in the practice professionally understand that
yeah, yeah,
the power of that, which does make it even more interesting to problem solve with everyone together.
yeah.
So our last question is, how would you like people to get more involved, or what would you like people to know about cybersecurity?
um, First of all, I would like to quote this, that cybersecurity, in cybersecurity specifically, right? It's a learning. Every day it's a learning because things are changing. We just discussed that. And we all find new challenges every day to add to our skills and also learn from somebody else's skill, right? So learning's everywhere, right? And uh, I think anybody who is in IT today, it is more important that they understand security, they consume security. And if somebody really wants to make a switch from whichever career they are in IT security or anywhere else, they can make that transition depending on which domain or which segment of cybersecurity they pick, because it's vast today. It's not like how probably we both started 20, 25 years back when there used to be only antivirus and other stuff, right? They still exist, but I think it is much more vast and complex, and it's just too much today. So if somebody wants to make a switch, they really have to figure out where their interest lies and which area is probably easy for them to get into. Because uh, if someone is trying to get into a cybersecurity career and they find it too hard to start, they will get frustrated. So my suggestion will be start something small. Uh, it doesn't matter what, anything that kind of relates back to their own experience, um, and they can slowly make that switch is going to be more useful than make a drastic change. Uh, if they can make that, it's fine. But I think in general, it's much easier if they make progressive changes rather than a drastic change. That will be really useful. And this is something which lot of people do approach me these days, that how it's a similar question, right? How can I start? So this is all I tell them all the time, that uh, go talk to someone, or maybe get into some community forums. If you really have to start, uh, maybe be part of, there are a lot of even social groups, right? LinkedIn, there are plenty of groups. um, or maybe just go do some certification courses. There are tons of certification courses these days, and if they can figure out where their interest lies, right, starting from say application security to infrastructure to operational security versus cloud security. And like, cloud security is really, really vast today. Things are changing so rapidly. So probably people from developer background can easily make a switch to cloud security, because that's what they are doing day in, day out. It's not too much of a difference, right? Just for an example. So they can go do those courses, trainings, communities, networking. And one thing by experience I can tell, networking really works. Like, talk to people, real people, understand from them what their experiences were, where they were wrong. It's more important to know where things went wrong rather than where things went right, because something which went right for me doesn't necessarily mean it will go right for somebody else. uh, but learn from the mistakes of many people. And anybody who is ready to talk about their mistakes, go do talk about it, understand from them. Yeah, that's something which I think I can suggest. And apart from that, uh, there are a lot of university courses these days. I always see, like, at least in the US and Australia, I see the universities are offering many trainings, many certification programs. If somebody wants to either uplift their existing skill in cybersecurity, or maybe they want to enter into cybersecurity, they can still go ahead and use it, get themselves enrolled into those courses, and those are really good ones. Yeah, that's something which is useful. And if you really allow, yeah, go ahead.
And say, so don't be afraid to ask other people about their cyber why, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to probably point back to one of the book that myself and Ardal, we both were working on about 2 years back. Uh, it's called Cybersecurity: The Beginner's Guide. If anybody is really interested to go look at it, how to start, where to get the information. This book is not like highly technical, but it's more as a guidebook. um, it was really interesting how that idea came up. We both were in a training session, and we were discussing, like, can we just put together everything and make it as a book? And that's how we started. So yeah, that's a good book, which finally Ardal got to finish it. And then if somebody really wants to get more creative, they can always go for the second book that I just came out with. It just got released like a week back. It's on penetration testing with Kali Linux, and I think maybe we can give the links
Yep.
after the recording. Um, so these two books can really help. There are plenty other books, and a lot of my known colleagues, ex-colleagues, they have also written a lot of books. So uh, there is probably not a gold mine, probably a diamond mine of books out there which people can leverage from. Uh, I personally prefer like paper books. I'm kind of little old school, so I love to keep books and go read from there. So that's I think pretty much for someone who wants to start. And last not but the least, I'm always happy to help. So feel free to reach out to me also.
That's very nice. So yeah, I agree. I did to speak to other people, read. There's so
Yeah,
many great resources that so many of us in the industry have written to try and help others.
yeah,
And yeah, and there's as since it's such a collaborative space, there's always we're always looking for more people to come and join
yeah,
us in cyber.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time today. Is it, I forget, it's tomorrow, right, in Australia? Tomorrow.
Not yet, not
Okay,
yet.
almost tomorrow. Well, thank you very much for taking the time and staying up late to speak with us. And thank you everybody for tuning in to this episode of My Cyber Why. We'll see you next month.
Yeah, thank you, Diana.
Thank you.